Hi folks, this is video number 157 and the title is What These Eyes Have Seen. This is going to be kind of reminiscing of things that were important to me growing up, things I've seen that have influenced my attitude towards the world and how I do things. And how those things all tie together to have me voice an opinion on what happens in the very near future. I was born September 9th, 1949. That was the year after the reestablishment of the country of Israel. I read somewhere a few years ago that my generation will be the one to see the second coming of the Lord. The way society is going, a lot of us certainly hope that prediction comes true. My first really solid memory was one of being helpful to Mom and Dad. The event was one where I was 3 years old and could now reach the handles on the pusher reel mower. I could actually push it a few feet and cut some grass. I was really proud of myself. I was in my single-digit years and really don't remember the Korean War. I did get a brand new sister. Her name is Deborah Ruth Beyer. Television was a luxury in those days. We get all our news and information by listening to the big radio in the corner of the living room. There was a radio on top, record player in the middle. It played big 78 records. There were records stored in the bottom. We listened to Nat King Cole, Mills Brothers, Ink Spots, the Grand Ole Opry, the Shadow Knows, the Green Hornet, Superman, Amos and Andy, The Life of Riley, Jack Benny, Edgar R. Murrow, and Paul Harvey. Our minds and imaginations were really busy in those days. The title, The President, I heard a lot during those years. That really didn't have much meaning then. Of course, Harry Truman was the president. I eventually became aware that he was our leader. The next thing I knew, Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. I wasn't sure how that happened, but I accepted it. That was about the time we got a TV. I was in second grade. TV really opened the world to us. As kids, we enjoyed Hatchie-Malachi on Saturday morning. During the week, Dialing for Dollars was on at 4 p.m. They always had a good movie. Sports was big on TV. Howard Cosell and Kurt Gowdy were everywhere. The Olympics were great to watch. I loved the figure skating, as I tried many times and could not even stand on skates. Watching boxing matches was fun. We actually had a Rocky before Cassius Clay came on the scene. He changed his name to Muhammad Ali later in his career. New York Yankees were mostly the top baseball team. Their pitcher, Ron Turley, was in rotation with Whitey Ford. Ron's nephew was on my Little League team. He was Ron Turley, too. Uncle Ron came to practice 4 or 5 times and gave us pointers on how to pitch. I sucked it all in and passed that info on to Dennis and Brian. They were both great local players. The Little League team took us to Yankee Stadium. I was 12 and got to see Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris hit back-to-back home runs to the right center upper deck. Almost hit the same seat. In 4th grade, we had a football team. It was fun for a while. In Little League, I only got to play 3 innings in 4 years of never missing a practice. The township politicians' kids never missed an inning. I tried out for Teener League, attended 1 game. I got to bat, but I didn't get on the field. At the end of the game, I took off my shirt and handed it to the coach and told him to stuff it. From that time on, each summer I focused on making money and doing my part at home. I did the family wash at the Clifford Laundromat every Friday night from 9th grade until the Army. At 15, I bought my first life insurance policy with Mom and Dad as beneficiaries. After the 54 Dodge Grandpa gave me, I bought a 62 Ford Falcon Ventura. Two-door hardtop with bucket seats. It was a great car. The engine was a 170 cubic inch displacement special. Single barrel carb. It got 98 to 100 miles on $1 worth of gas. Of course, gas was 19 cents a gallon. I drove to school all the time. When John Kennedy was running for the Democratic nomination, it was the first time for televised debates. The whole country watched the debate between Kennedy and Nixon. You know Kennedy was elected. I think Jackie Kennedy got just as much press as he did. She was a great First Lady. I was in 9th grade Latin class when Tucker Edwards stuck his head in the door and announced that the president had been shot. We had a whole year of civics in 9th grade, so we were all aware of what would happen almost immediately. Lee Harvey Oswald was arrested. Next day there was live coverage of him being transported to a preliminary hearing. The whole country saw Jack Ruby work through the crowd, getting to Oswald and pulling a gun and shooting him right in front of the police. We also saw Lyndon Baines Johnson being sworn in as president on Air Force One. The president's funeral was a sight to behold. When the caisson carrying the casket passed by, I can still see John, his 3-year-old son, saluting his father. Over the years, it seemed the Kennedy clan was cursed. Caroline is the only one left, along with some cousins, at this point in time. Robert Kennedy ran for president. He was killed by Sirhan, a disgruntled Palestinian. Next was Martin Luther King. He was shot by James Earl Ray, a known racist. No other motives given. I got this from a now past reliable source, namely our old friend Roy. Back when the manhunt for Ray was on, he robbed a bank. It was and may still be located in the Triangle at Lawton in the area of the Barn Restaurant. Ted Kennedy was driving under the influence. He had a young assistant named Mary Jo Kopechne in the car that ran off the road and into the water. Ted got out and walked home. He left her to drown. The world is indeed small. Back in the time of the Russell Hill Sportsman's Club, we met the caretaker of Camp Lackawanna in the Vosburg area. He was her cousin, David Kopechne. John Jr. grew to be a magazine publisher. He and his wife were killed when he was piloting a small plane at night. Something went wrong and it crashed into water, killing all aboard. Senator Ted passed away a few years ago. This link ties to the song that puts it together. I don't know if that link will work off of this or not. You may have to copy it. Growing up in this old house and seeing all these happenings has a special meaning to me. The original part of the house has logs for rafters and joists. Newspaper was used as insulation over the double plank. Mom and Dad told us the papers had coverage of Lincoln's assassination in them 158 years ago. My generation has seen 9/11. It has been 19 years ago. All the so-called sheeple revolutionaries didn't see the solitude that the nation developed immediately. A year later, I lost a good friend and brother-in-law to a 6-time drunk driver. Reading Deb's letter to the court for his sentencing was one of the most difficult things I've had to do. Then came the sandbox wars, ongoing some still today. Most of our troops are out now, and I think President Trump will have them all home soon. NATO troop strength is being revisited too. He has done more in 3.5 years than all the presidents I've seen. Kennedy was number 35, so that means I've been around for 12 presidents. I pray and ask that he gets another 4 years. I've previously told stories about school, the heavy equipment school, the Army, Vietnam, Germany, P&G, Cincinnati, game warden, camping, fishing, and working worldwide teaching. I am the only family member to have served in a combat zone. I served in Germany 18 years before the wall came down. I was in South Africa just before the third national election. 40 to 50% unemployment and 32 political parties promising everything under the sun. I want to address current events and how they relate to what I've seen worldwide. I do not want the socialists to get control of the United States. There will be war. In Vietnam, I saw people coming out of holes in the ground with nothing on but a loincloth. Others sleeping in 55-gallon drums. One of the best houses along the road was cobbled from 5 or 6 pallets. It was shingled with flattened beer and soda cans. 3 people sheltered in that. Our dogs have better homes. In Germany, when not running the motor pool, I was attending riot training with rifles, learning how to spot KGB vehicles, along with the latest known information signaling techniques. Example, a chalk mark on the side of a mailbox. I believe that was used in the movie The French Connection. That was a real thing while I was there. In South Africa, outside of our little Oasis hotel area that was walled and gated, it looked just like Vietnam. People living in makeshift shelters, etc. The dumbasses have since passed a law that all the farmland must be returned to the blacks. Sound familiar? I was not raised to be racist, but I am prejudiced towards assholes, and they come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. The South Africans are turning the country into another Zimbabwe. They're killing off all the capitalists and seizing the big farms that are the lifeblood of the country's economy. But they don't know business or agriculture. That is what the Socialist Democrats want for us. They'll be in charge and sucking everything they can from our kids, grandkids, and on and on. Us old, useless ones will be disappeared. I've seen socialism and communism on 3 continents. I might be 71 now, but I still shoot very well. And thanks to Nam, I have some other things in mind as well, if necessary. Black Lives Matter Incorporated and Antifa may not find my town on a map for a while, but if they head for the town where my last remaining friends and sister resides, I'll be standing on the river bridge with filled hands. 95% of the inventions lifting mankind out of the horse and wagon age have been developed by Americans. My great-grandma Barr, born in Lincoln's time, lived with stagecoaches, steam locomotives, cars, telegraph, telephone, recordings, radio, TV, airplanes, rockets. She got to see John Glenn orbit the Earth. What wonders she saw. Although we grew up during the time of segregation and the bomb, all of it was practically eliminated. Now it's all coming back. I feel I actually had the privilege of growing up in the best times of the United States. I know what an American means. It sure wasn't white privilege. I spent my whole life trying to keep America great, even on other continents. I've added a couple pictures here at the end. And, two little kids standing on the walk in the left picture. The little girl is off to her first day in school. We didn't have kindergarten, so it would have to be first grade. And the little girl is my sister Debbie. And that handsome young lad standing next to her with that big full head of hair, who was 3 years older than his sister Debbie, was me. So that would have been my first day of fourth grade. The other picture is me without my glasses. This is a story about what my eyes have seen, and you couldn't see them with my glasses on. And I also don't have my beard. So you're just looking at my bejowled face and my wrinkly eyes. And also I have my Billy Jack hat on. A lot of people might think that looks kind of stupid, but for those of you who know me all my life, know I walk my own road and I don't give a rat's patoot. Yeah, it also has the nice new hat band that an Indian lady in Guatemala made for me. When it came, it had a picture of her husband and her two kids standing behind her while she sat out in the yard at a table creating this hat band for me. She did an excellent job. I was glad to do it. I really like it. So that's about it for this story. Things I've seen, and I kind of I put things together enough to give you some foresight into what I think is coming. And I pray to God I'm wrong. The next 90 days will tell. Well, that's about it. As always, everyone, I wish you all the best.